Welcome, everyone, to the Global Cash Summit. Today, I have the wonderful experience about bringing Brigham Blackham to you. He is a dynamic confidence mentor and storytelling expert who helps individuals and business professionals transform self-doubt into authentic confidence. Once a high school teacher struggling to engage his students, Brigham discovered the power of storytelling to connect, inspire, and influence. Over time, he developed his signature story method, a holistic approach to building confidence through the stories we tell, hear, and embody. Today, Brigham mentors entrepreneurs, educators, and leaders to elevate their presence and message, proving that confidence isn't about perfection, it's about leveling up a little every day. Brigham, welcome to the Global Cash Summit. I am so excited to have you here with us today. You are such a dynamic confidence mentor and storytelling expert, and your work has helped so many people move from self-doubt to authentic self-belief. What I love most about your story is how it all started in a high school classroom. You were a teacher who struggled to connect with your students until you discovered the power of storytelling. So that discovery changed not only your life, but now has transformed countless others through your story framework. Thank you for being here, Brigham. It is an honor to share the conversation with you.
Oh, absolutely. Wow, Cassandra, I need to have you as my hype man more often. This is awesome. Thank you so much. Stroking the ego. Background as an actor, I'm just like, ooh,
Hype
tell me more.
woman!
Tell me more, hype woman. Sorry. No, I am so thankful to be here. And what an amazing organization that you have here. You're condensing literally over a decade of experience into just days for people. That's the power of great storytelling, the power of great experiences. When people hear them, they can say, you know what? I'm going to take that lesson that they paid full price for, and I'm going to take the discounted version and do what they did in a different way or in the way that makes it so that I can get all that benefit. So thank you so much for all you do. I'm excited to be here. Let's dive right into
Awesome.
it.
Let's start from the beginning. So, for those who may not know your journey yet, can you share how you went from being a high school Chinese teacher to becoming a confidence mentor and storytelling expert?
Absolutely. Let me paint the picture for you. My very first year teaching Chinese, I had this student who I will say had undiagnosed narcolepsy. Pretty much every single class period, he would nod off, and he was one of those kids that I just wanted to reach him. He had a passion for the subject, but man, his brain would just shut off. And at the very beginning of my connecting with him, I thought it was his fault that he was always falling asleep. And I had this heart to heart conversation with him, and all the other kids had kind of filed out. I kneeled down right in front of his desk and I said, hey, I'm going to call him Jim Bob, even though that's not his real name. Hey, Jim, what's going on? Why are you falling asleep? And I got this kind of shy look into my eyes, and he said, yeah, I don't know, when you talk, it just feels like it's going over my head. I'm not getting it. It's almost like those Charlie Brown teachers, rah, 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 rah. Exactly. But when it's Chinese, it's more like rah, 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 rah. Anyway, while I was connecting with him, he had this idea that he would kneel down anytime he felt tired. And I said, wow, I've never had a student be so worshipful. Absolutely. Go ahead, try it. So the next few weeks, every time he started to feel like he was going to nod off, he kneeled down. And that physical action of him kneeling down became a cue for me that I was being boring, that I was putting him to sleep. And I started to shift my mindset around whose fault it was that he was falling asleep. When I took ownership and said, hey, if he's falling asleep, I can do something about it. I would shift my tactic. I would make everyone get up and move in different ways. And the thing that became my light and my star was storytelling. Storytelling, as I engaged every single person, made it so that not only did they understand what I was sharing with them, they were able to connect to the real meaning behind what was said. And then they had an experience. Now, if you've ever taken a foreign language, this is essential to be able to make it mean something for you, not just learn the translation. As I started applying this over the last almost 10 years now, I've discovered that storytelling is that knack to help you improve your communication skills, help you improve your acting, help you improve the way that you connect with people. And if you can really understand the story, and I have a 5 point framework, S.T.O.R.Y, that we're going to get into. If you can understand the story, it builds instant confidence in you, and in your message. Because if you're the master of that message and you internalize it, you are the story, you are the content. And people will come to you and say, how do I get what you have? How do I become more like you? And that's one of the ways that I got started. I'm super stoked to get more into this. So thanks for the question.
Yeah, well, that's such a powerful transformation. What inspired the creation of your story method, and how did storytelling really become the key to unlocking confidence for both you and your clients?
Great question. About 2 years ago, I started my podcast called Levelin Up. I interview all of these amazing individuals, people that I basically want to be like when I grow up. And as I interviewed them and I distilled their experiences, I saw what they had gone through to transform their life. The through line was if you have a great experience in a story and you package it in the right way, you can create positive impact for people. And I noticed as they spoke about themselves, about their experiences, they were extremely confident. Sometimes I would interview some people and they would be talking about things that were outside of their realm of confidence. Especially in the beginning, I was interviewing anyone I could. And I realized if people are talking outside their experience, their confidence levels significantly lower because
Of
they don't
course.
have the depth of experience. But as soon as you're talking about something you're extremely competent in, everything shifts.
Mhm.
Because you're so competent, you're not worried about the phrasing because you have depth of experience. And that was a revelation for me. If I can be extremely competent, oops, Siri doesn't understand, but we're going to make sure that you guys do. If you can stay in that zone of competence and genius, everything shifts for you because that's where your confidence lies. And as you tap into that through storytelling and this framework that I'm going to share with you, you'll be able to find that you can rewire the story that's in your head and be more confident immediately, instantly. And that will help you make better decisions, help you be more bold as you're having conversations with people and you tie in these little stories, these little nuggets of your wisdom. Suddenly, those stories can start to impact and positively help other people. And that's why I'm so excited about what I do because my podcast, the way that I've been able to interface with over 160 different individuals over the last 2 years on that podcast has broadened my horizons. And every conversation, you're one conversation away from changing the rest of your life. This is one of those conversations for you guys. And Cassandra, yesterday, we getting connected really just solidified that you're in the right place, I'm in the right space. And when we get together, some magic is going to happen. So I'm really excited to collaborate today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It's so true. And, as a performing artist and you yourself, we know that within that space of the
Mhm.
inhalation of a breath, you get to become what it is that
Mm,
you are presenting to people. And that is where that competence has to come in, that
mm,
confidence and competence. And now you said before that confidence isn't about perfection, it's about leveling up a little every day. And that's such a refreshing perspective. So, can you unpack that for those watching who might feel stuck or
excellent.
uncertain about their own story?
For sure. In Mandarin, there is an expression, wan mei, which means perfection. Wan is complete, mei is beautiful. When you finish what you start, when you complete it, even though there are maybe some little dings or whatever it is that you're working on, it's not perfect in the fact that it is without blemish. When you complete something, when it's full and finished, suddenly you can say, hey, I did that. A lot of times as a performer, I had these experiences where I felt like I was doing so well for one act, and then the next act, it was just like, I don't know what's going on. I dropped 3 lines. I had to improvise here, but we got through it because the show must go on. And at the very end of the show, we finished it. We put that little bow at the end, and you're like, you know what? I still did my very best with all the effort that I could today for this audience. That's all you do as a business owner, as someone that wants to get out there and create a meaningful impact, is you do your very best with whatever your final percent is that day. And if
Mhm.
you do that consistently, you're going to get a little bit better. And that 1% incremental change, because you finished what you started, because you shipped what mattered, you will not recognize yourself in 18 months. That's
Yeah,
my promise. If you do that consistently, everything shifts for you. Thanks.
That is such a an empowering reframe. And it's progress over perfection, right? And I often
Absolutely.
tell my students is like, when you are working on something today, you're doing
Hmm.
100% the best that you can when you bring yourself fully present into what you're creating for today. And then this is, you might start the day here. But
Hmm.
as you are working, you grow, 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 and you get better. And then you end the day, now you're here. And I always say to my students, so now tomorrow, guess what? This gets to be the new baseline. And so
Yes.
always progressing every single day. So it's something so many entrepreneurs need to hear. Now let's talk about storytelling because it's really the heartbeat of what you do. Many entrepreneurs and leaders struggle to stand out or
Mhm.
connect with their audience. So why do you believe that storytelling is such a powerful tool for influence and confidence in business?
Have you ever thought about what are the things that your brain wants to remember? If you have, this is the way that our brain is programmed. We are thinking in stories all the time. All that a story is, so that all of you can have the same definition for me, is the creation of meaning. If you are not creating meaning, there's not a story there. And if you don't have that story that makes sense for you and your audience, from both of those perspectives, they see that story, then you're not communicating effectively. When you can wrap a message, a meaningful idea in something that's presented beautifully, you can have them take that idea and use it in their life because the true value of your message and of everything that you share with someone is how well they can use it without you being present.
Right.
If you have to be present for them to use that idea or that story, then you didn't articulate it clear enough. There may be a way you can simplify, compress, and find what the essence of that message is. Because if you can say it in a moment, in an instant, they can take that message, apply it, and then gain benefits from it and get those incremental shifts that create exponential results.
Mm. Hmm. Now, you teach that confidence grows from the stories that we tell,
Mhm.
that we hear, and embody. And I love that triad. Can you explain how those three layers work together to transform self-doubt into self-trust?
Self-doubt to self-trust. Let me go here with this. When I think of self-doubt, it comes down to you having arrows pointed towards you. I talk about this idea of arrows out. If you are feeling anxious, you're feeling frustrated about something that you need to communicate and you don't know the best words to use, most of the time that stage fright is contained in you pointing at yourself and thinking, oh, what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? What is the thing that matters the most? Because you're so self-absorbed, it
Mhm.
starts to consume you. And that's where the anxiety raises up, almost like you're going to drown. But I'm going to give you a very simple reframe. Instead of having those arrows pointed towards you, you point the arrows outward and you allow yourself to think, how can I take this idea or this concept, this story, and make it packaged for my audience? How can I make it meaningful for them? Because if I can package it in a way that they can receive it and be happy to receive it and use it, everything will shift for you. It's no longer about you, even though you want to perform it as beautifully as you can. It's all about how do I deliver this in a meaningful, masterful way so that the way that I'm performing it is not getting in the way of the message.
Mhm.
I hope that answered your question because that's where I love to go.
Yeah,
Arrows
that's
out.
brilliant. That's brilliant. And those arrows out really is just serving your clients. It is
Absolutely.
making it about them, not about you. So if you
Mhm.
make it about them, how can I serve them? How can I get them to understand? How can I make it easier for them? When you
Ah,
start putting all of that energy onto the outward, as you said, that really does take the pressure off of the inward. And I know you've seen so many people step into new versions of themselves through that process. So what are some of the biggest confidence myths that you see holding people back when they step into
mm.
leadership or business?
Ooh, confidence myths. I have to be perfect to be able to do this. We've talked about progress over perfection. Another thing is, I don't know enough. Wait a second. How old are you? Oh, I'm 30 years old. You say in 30 years you don't have some story that you couldn't share with somebody else and help them get benefit from it? A lot of times we have had plenty of experiences. We haven't done the mental gymnastics enough to make sure that we can find what those moments are, those meaningful experiences, and package them in a way that is meaningful for somebody else.
Mm.
It's not a matter of whether you've had the experience. Literally, by the time you're 8 years old, you've probably had hundreds of experiences that would be extremely valuable for people, even in your business. But if you don't take the time to write them down, to story mine is what I like to call it in my book, the story hook method. You capture those stories, you refine them, and just like an old prospector, you have to go through the pay dirt, which is a lot of a process to narrow it down and refine it until it's something that you can ship and give to somebody and they can find value in it. You have to do the work. There's no shortcuts to storytelling. It's just like any actor. You get a script, you have 150 pages to memorize. You have to figure out what is my role in this? How do I make sure that it is performed the very best for this production? You memorize and master your own part. And then as it fits into everything, they come together. Suddenly, the entire production is elevated because you're fitting your role into it.
Hmm. Exactly. So it's so
Huge.
easy to assume that confident people were born that way. Sometimes people think that's what it is, but as you're showing us, that confidence is built really story by story by
Mhm.
story. Now, let's
Absolutely.
just dive into your signature method, that story framework. So, can you walk
Absolutely.
us through what each letter stands for and how it applies in real life?
Absolutely. Well, I'm first going to have you write this down so you don't have to be thinking too much during this and you can just enjoy it. So put your five hand, you're up here, we got five. The first one is S, right? Write an S for story, and this is for significant. If you write significant, you have to think, what does significant mean? All right, significant. You're going to picture this. What is your thought process around significant? The next one is T. Hopefully, you've had enough time to write that significant. T is for translate. You're going to translate, just like you're going to translate in a language, right? Significant and then translate. The O is for objective, right? What's the purpose? The objective. What is the goal? The objective. And then R is to relive, not just relate, to relive. And then the Y is yes, exclamation point, yes. Okay, a clear, concise call to action. Now we'll back up to the first one, significance. This is absolutely important to make sure that you boil down your message to the essence, the things that have to be there to be able to communicate clearly. Because sometimes you only have 90 seconds to share that story. If you have 4 hours, absolutely just share every detail you possibly can. You're going to bore the audience, but definitely, definitely can do that. Most of the time, you have to boil down the message to what matters most. What are the things that cannot be removed without that message being changed? That's what significance is. If you're trying to think about how do I build confidence, you think, what is the significant progress that needs to be made for my audience to be able to gain value from this? What's the significant transformation that has to happen for them to understand why it matters for them? Okay, significance. Definitely can go a whole lot more in depth there, but significance is essential. The T is to translate. Now, if you've ever studied a language before and you've had a moment where someone shared something with you and it just went right over your head. Have you had this before, Cassandra? Have you ever experienced another person speaking to you in a different language?
Of course.
Of course, right? I want you to think how that made you feel. Did it make you feel like really confident? Like, oh yeah, I can go talk to that person, no problem.
Uh, well, I live in a building where we have many, many Chinese people, so they're always trying
Yeah,
to teach me Chinese. So I get my ni
excellent.
hao and my shang sai
All right,
hao.
yeah. Nice. So you have that charismatic personality. You're like, I'm still gonna go talk to them, even though I don't totally know what they're talking
That's
about.
right. That's right.
A lot of people, I've experienced this, especially with my younger students, a lot of times they get a little nervous when they completely don't understand what's going on.
Of course.
You'll even notice this with people in business. If there are a lot of jargon being thrown out there and there's enough of a language barrier that they don't fully get the context of what's going on, even though they know 90% of the words, they're going to be like, I am completely lost.
Mhm.
That's the importance of translation. Now, when I'm talking about translation in the context of storytelling, this is making your message meaningful and clear for your audience. You're not using jargon, some type of lightning lingo that flies right over their head. You're doing your best to make sure that the words that you select and the examples you choose are meaningful for your audience.
Right.
A
For
great,
your audience. That's the key, guys.
absolutely.
For your audience. It's all about them.
Right. So with the Global Cash Summit, a lot of you are here because you want to earn more money. You want to be able to retain more of your money. You may be able to say, you know what, I want to create a passion business where I can take my ideas and my influence and be able to impact more people. Whatever your reason for being here is, maybe it's, you know, want to improve your lifestyle because of your business, or you want to build a community because you have ways that you want to connect with people. Every single benefit that you focus on in your story, if you can highlight how it attaches back to their core desire as the audience, that's taking that story and translating it well for them. What that means for you is you are able to gain value from that story. If a storyteller doesn't take the time to say, as you go through this story, this is why this will be beneficial for you, you will tune out.
Right.
And as an audience, you'll be like, why am I even listening to this? I
Mhm.
don't see how this applies to me. It's irrelevant. If you can create relevance, people will say, wow, that was so meaningful. That's the importance of translation. Okay, now
Right.
the O, this is an objective. You're an actress, you did a lot of stuff on stage. How important is it in your experience to know what you're doing on stage?
Oh, absolutely. And it's the
Absolutely.
thing with business. Like if you don't know what it is, what is the purpose of what I'm doing? What is the
Yeah.
outcome I'm looking for? What is the objective here? Then how can you possibly communicate that to someone else?
Right? If you don't know in your head what you're trying to accomplish, your audience will be absolutely lost. But as soon as you say something like James Lawrence, he is someone that did 100 triathlons in 100 days. Very clear, very simple. This is what progress looks like.
Mm,
He did that over the 100 days. It was hard, absolutely bitter, but he got it done. That is extremely clear as far as an objective. If you can take that type of clarity in your story and say, this is what we're trying to accomplish, this is what progress looks like, and then you consistently make progress throughout there and your audience can follow along because they know what it looks like, they know your objective. When you achieve it, it's just like that great sports movie. You've got that three that was a buzzer beater, boo, and everyone just clears the stands and they like put you on their shoulders. Absolutely. That's the type of excitement that can happen even in a simple story
mm.
if you have audience buy into what you're doing because they understand the objective.
Right.
Okay. This next one, this is relive. If you've ever done an acting class, if you've ever done any type of performing arts, reliving your story has to do with embodying it fully, not just from the head up, not just from one small portion of yourself, like having it only in your hand, but literally your entire body. You have to own the story and relive it, excuse me, with your audience.
Mhm.
This is essential if you're going to perform it versus just relate a story.
Right.
Anybody can go to ChatGPT and find some really beautiful verbs, really delicious ways to say things. But being able to articulate it in your entire body, that's the value of having a director be able to say, oh, you're doing something right now with your feet, like you're dancing back and forth. That's really distracting. Or some of the words you're saying right now are making me wonder how that applies to this story.
Mhm.
A lot of the time, when you have those outside eyes looking in, they can help you eliminate distractions and get rid of the wonder wander effect.
Yeah.
Because if the audience is wondering what's going on, they start to wander. When you relive and you completely embody your message, every performance skill you've ever used, vocal variety, the way you embody things, can be utilized in your story. This is the performance element where you definitely need a mentor. If you've never done any acting before, if you've never done any performing arts, it is so essential. If you've done performing arts, you know the essential eyes that need to be on your product to be able to perform at the very highest level. You don't go to rehearsal just to interact with other actors. You go to rehearsal so that everyone in the production can see how it gels or how it comes together.
That's incredible.
That's
And I think
essential.
people forget that, even when we're making an offer to our audience,
Yeah.
okay, our client, our ideal client, you need to practice. Practice
Right.
out loud what it is that you're going to say to people. Practice your tone. Practice how much time it takes to say things. Are you rushing through your words? Are
Mm.
you not articulating your consonants enough? Are you not giving a pause for effect? So I love that what you're saying is so practical. It's just really, working not just on your mindset, but also on action.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go on to the yes.
The
Let's go on
yes
to
with
the
an exclamation point.
yes.
This is a clear, concise call to action or a commitment. This is where real confidence comes, guys. If you have someone in your audience that's like, I don't know what to do next, is that confident language or is that not confident language? Anytime someone's confused, they will not act.
Right.
Even look back on yourself. When was the last time you were not sure what the next step was, lost interest, and did something else? Happens all the time. That's human nature. But as soon as you know what the exact next step is and you commit to it with a yes, I'm going to do that. That commitment energy is a decision. And because you decided, you will go do. And in the act of doing, that momentum you create, it's almost like going to the top of a hill and pushing a boulder. If you
Mm,
guys have ever done this when you're on a hike, you push that boulder. Hopefully, you have told everyone, get out of the way. You push that little boulder and you see it go and it picks up speed and it starts to jump. That's the type of momentum you can create in your business if you have consistency,
mm.
daily consistent actions. And at the end of your story, if you don't have a commitment that happens, if they don't actually do something with the message, you might as well have not done it.
At all, yeah.
You didn't help impact them and you're not serving your audience the very best. So, in my opinion, if you have something that your audience needs, it is someone that is qualified and they want what you have, they're ready, able, and willing. It is your moral obligation to
Hmm.
give them that opportunity to buy from you.
Hmm.
Because if they're not going to buy from you, they're going to buy from somebody.
Yeah.
Why not
Jim
you?
Jim Miller used to say he was one of my former sales directors, and he used to say, sales is salvific. You're there to
Mm.
save people's lives. That's what you do because you have the solution to their problem. And if you do not make them that offer to work with you, then how can they actually receive the information that they need in order to save their lives from the problem that they have? So we do have a moral obligation to not make it about ourselves, but make it about the clients in front of us. Be generous and make that offer with confidence because you have the solution to their problem and you don't know how that solution could actually impact their lives. So,
Right.
how can an entrepreneur use the story framework to strengthen their own brand narrative and attract their ideal clients to them?
Ooh, there are multiple ways. The one that I think is the most useful for any entrepreneur that struggles with their story is getting their origin story or their story fruition, if I can use my friend Melissa's words. What you need to do is figure out where was that moment where you had your aha, and then figure out what was the moment right before that that caused that to happen, and then why are you doing what you do in your business. As you utilize a storytelling framework to help you understand your origin story and then really work it, you can absolutely shift the way your business shows up because almost every conversation that you have, someone's going to say, hey, so how did you get in business? You've got that story that you can go to your story mind, you can pull out, you're like, let me tell you why this matters. This is how I got into it. And this is why I care so deeply about what I do. If you don't have that just down pat, is there a chance you're going to lose opportunities because people are like, I don't really know what you do and how it applies to me?
Hmm.
Absolutely. This is probably the biggest thing for people that kind of struggle with confidence and sharing their story is making sure that they have their 90-second or 3-minute pitch of why they do what they do in the bag so that when somebody asks them, what do you do? They can clearly, confidently, and with clarity be able to share it.
Yeah, I love that connection between storytelling and business growth and being able to share your message. I love that so much because the why, sometimes for entrepreneurs, that why is so much more important than you think.
Mhm.
Because many times being an entrepreneur is tough. It is a tough
It
road.
is.
There are going to be problems and challenges that happen every single day. Sometimes you're going to feel like you're a firefighter putting fires out constantly, and sometimes it can feel exhausting. And,
Oof.
on those days when it's particularly hard, when you think about your why, your deep why am I doing this? Why did I have this in my heart that I decided to bring this forward and create a business out of this? Sometimes that why, that like really intuitive, that little soft voice, that little message that told you that to start this, that little seed that was put in your heart to start this business and to grow this business and to grow through all of the problems of the business to get to the other side. That why is sometimes the only thing that you have that can keep you going. So, do you have a favorite transformation story? Someone who used this method and experienced a major breakthrough in their confidence or results?
Mm. I've got a lot, but one that pops up was actually happened like 2 weeks ago. I'm working with a guy who I'm just so proud of. Last January, we started working together. He has this goal of being a nonfiction business author, right? He wants to get out there and, oh, sorry, not nonfiction. He wants to be a fiction author, but he wants to run a business around being this author. And I was like, well, Travis, tell me a little bit about what that looks like for you. He's like, well, for the last 10 or so years, I've been trying to get, maybe 500 or so words out a week. And he's got this big plan of having a big series of 3 or 4 books that are just beautiful novel that he can kind of turn into speaking gigs and different things like that. But he had maybe put out 20,000 words in 10 years. And I was like, well, we need to get this into a habit if you're going to be a writer. And let me help you figure out how to create the daily disciplines that you'll be able to start to navigate this.
Mhm,
We started working in January, and every single week, this whole year, he's been able to accomplish over 1,000 words typing and getting them out of his system. He has significantly compressed his time frame. Instead of this taking like 10 years, it's taken him a year to get almost 10 years of results
mhm,
just from creating that habit.
mhm,
Now, how did he use this recently? When he lost his job about a month ago, he was really down and he was frustrated. He's like, I don't know what to do now. I was like, well, we can look at this in two different ways. The victim, which is really sad and like, oh, woe is me. I'm going to just have
mhm,
everything just fall apart in my life, or be like, wait a minute, I have a little bit more time to write now. Yes, you can still go search for your next job, but you have the time to not just hit like 1,000 words. Maybe you could do 2 or 3,000.
mhm.
Last week he did 5,000 words, and I was like, you just did a whole month's worth of work in one week.
It's that rolling cycle. You were talking
Yeah.
about this granite rock, and I was
Hmm.
thinking of when you were saying that it's kind of like a little snowball, right? It starts off with like
Exactly.
a little snowball, and if there's snow on that mountain, by the
Hmm.
time the snowball gets to the bottom of the mountain, it's huge. And so
Exactly.
this is what's happened with that client for you. So that's a beautiful example. It really shows how our stories can become that bridge, not just to income but also to impact. So let's connect
Right.
confidence to cash because this
Ooh.
summit is all about helping people transform their mindset and their money. So, from your experience, how does storytelling actually impact sales,
Mm.
leadership, and influence?
Have you ever heard of the term reassociation?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. When you think of a reassociation, you are taking someone from their original thought about a product or a service, and then you're making another association or reassociating to what it means for them.
Mm,
Storytelling is that bridge to take them from where they thought they were, or where the crap town or sucky town or suckville, whatever that that previous version of whatever they're experiencing, their old methodology, their old way, and you bridge that gap through storytelling so that they can get to awesome town or awesomeville, the amazing experience that they're looking for. Whether that's to have a better lifestyle, that's to create a community. Maybe they just need a proven system
mhm,
to get their results, to make more money. Storytelling is that bridge to help them improve their sales. This is a way that you can help people improve their mindset, skill set, and tool set in every pillar of life. And I
Right.
talk about how this is a holistic approach because if you are extremely unhealthy, you don't have any vitality, you're super tired all the time, is it going to be really difficult to make sales? Absolutely, because you're thinking about other things. But if you have the discipline and you know what the next step is because you've ran through that storytelling framework, okay, what's significant progress look like? Okay, cool. I am going to, instead of working out once a month, I'm going to work out 3 times a week. Okay, when am I going to do that? I'm going to translate that into my own schedule. Oh, this is when I can do that. Awesome. What does that mean for me? What's my objective? I am going to hit 33 minutes of exercise. Awesome. How do I make this a reality? You play it out, that imagination in your head, and you get creative. Oh, this is how I can adjust my schedule. Perfect. What is the next step on that? Oh, I
Mm-hmm.
need to actually write this into my schedule in that time. Perfect. You took the next step. That was that first momentum. There's that first pillar, your vitality. That impacts your personal life, your relationships, your spirituality, the different ways that you connect with people on a personal level. Your personal life will impact your community, all the different people you associate with, and your community will impact your professional life. All of these are interconnected. As you improve your life in one of those areas, it improves your life in all those areas. And that's when you have that exponential shift that happens because of your story. And if it's all right with you, I'd actually like to talk about something called a core desire. Have you heard this phrase before?
No, go ahead.
Okay, it's beautiful. If you've ever read Think and Grow Rich, it's very similar to that in the idea. I get this actually from my mentor, Jack Zufelt, in the DNA of Success. But I talk about this a lot in my storytelling framework to make sure that you go the final percent in whatever it is that you want to accomplish. If you are going to go the final percent with your speaking, with your storytelling, with sales, it's a full commitment. It's a 100% out of 100 level of experience. A core desire, for those of you that have never heard this before, is something that if you had a scale from 0 to 100, it is a 100 on that scale. It is something you want that is so white hot burning desire that you're like, I will do anything in my power to make this happen. It unlocks that conquering force, that exponential shift in growth. When you can help your prospects be able to tap into their core desire, those things are on 100 scale for them, by sharing a story and helping them create that reassociation, saying, this will help you get your core desire. The sale is done. They're like, oh, I want that. I need that. Tell me more.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can't create that bridge because you're lacking communication, lack of confidence, even if you have the answer that will help them, that bridge was broken. And because the bridge is broken, they're going to have to find another way around to get it. They'll get there. If it's a core desire, they will figure it out. They'll find another way. They'll find, even if it's less effective and more expensive, they will find another way to have that core desire get met because it's on a 100 scale out of 100. It's a white hot burning desire. As soon as you understand what their progress looks like and you can connect your product and service to what they want through that story, that bridge is the reassociation. And no sale will happen if the reassociation doesn't occur.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you make more money as a salesman. That's how you create better creations with your content, is making sure you're bridging the gap from what they want as your audience, uh, from where they are to what they want.
hmm hmm
There you
So,
go.
for those who might be feeling a little disconnected from their own confidence of their own voice, their
Mhm.
ownership of how they're showing up, or they're unsure of their message, what's one simple first step that they can take today to start owning their story?
This is something I do often when I'm around people that get kind of stuck in their story, like, oh, I'm kind of getting caught in my throat. I don't know what to say. I have them do a turn and teach. You ever heard of this little term before?
Hmm
You turn and teach. I say, I want you to think of something that has nothing to do with business that you are an absolute master at.
hmm
Maybe it is flipping a pen. You're like, all right, I absolutely know I can do this every time without worrying about it. I need you to turn and teach that experience. How do you get this to be successful to someone that doesn't know how to do it? As they start talking about that experience, maybe it's swimming, maybe it's violin, whatever their skill is, because there's a extremely high level of mastery, they are able to have a lot of the pressure get taken off. And they're just trying to communicate. This is one of the secrets to learning a language as well, is figuring out what is it that I want to communicate,
Mm.
not what are the right words. People, I
Right.
don't care about the right words.
Hmm.
The right words are never going to be the right for every single person. What's right for one person is not going to be right for somebody else. It's not about the words you use, it's about how am I communicating this? It's kind of like throwing a paper ball at someone, and if they didn't catch it, you get another paper ball and like, okay, catch it. No, okay, let's make it a little bit bigger. How about now? Can you get it? And then they finally catch it. You adjust, you shift the tactic, whatever needs to happen so that they can receive the message.
Hmm.
That's the value of doing some simple team teaching like that and a little turn and teach. You
Again,
can do this with
it's a,
anybody. Yeah.
it's about the people. Sorry to interrupt.
Mhm.
It's
Oh,
about
you're
the
good.
people that we want to serve again. It's all about them.
100%.
So if you could leave our audience with one confidence habit that they can practice every single day, what
Mm.
would it be?
One confidence habit that you can practice every day.
Yeah.
When you go to bed at night, I want you to think, was this day something I can sign off to God and say, this was my best work?
Mm,
And when you can look over your day and say, you know what? I wasn't perfect everywhere, but my conversation with Cassandra, that was my best work.
mm,
And you start creating a win log, a little gratitude journal of saying, this is where my best work was. Even when you have fumbles, you have stumbles, you fall around on whatever your conversation was, when you say, you know what, this was my best work, and you sign it off to God. I like to pray. If you're not religious, you can sign it off to a higher power. You say, this was my best work, and this is something that I'm proud of. And you
mm.
acknowledge it. You have to acknowledge it and create those little wins for yourself. As you create
Celebrate
that
the win.
log of wins, you celebrate those little wins.
Yeah.
Suddenly, you will not only feel like a winner, you will be able to have tangible data that you are a winner. You're like, oh, yesterday I smashed it. That was awesome. Oh, I did this great yesterday and the day before and the day before. And then you just keep going back and you create a win log and you create a winning streak. I've been doing this with my scripture study last 180 days, haven't missed a day, enjoyed reading it and just acknowledging, hey, I did my very best to do a devotion to God.
Hmm.
You can do the same thing for your business. You can do the same thing in your personal life, in your professional life, in your health and vitality,
Hmm.
in every area of life. And just figure out, was this my best work? And if it wasn't, look somewhere in your day and see what was. Because
Mm.
I bet at some point you're like, you know what? Brushing my teeth, that was my best work today.
Sure.
If that's what you got, that's still a win. But it's really what you focus on that expands.
Celebrating on those wins. That's such a gift. And
Absolutely.
I know that's going to resonate deeply with everyone watching. So, finally, just tell us a little bit about the free resource that you're offering. What can our audience expect from it, and how can it help them take their confidence to that next level?
Absolutely. Yesterday, I had a beautiful download of an experience that I felt I needed to capture. And this is the only place that you're going to be able to find this resource. I shared a wonderful example of how to create confidence through obedience to natural law.
Mm-hmm.
And what this does for you is let you create predictability. Confidence is often about how you associate predictability to what you're doing. If you can say, hey, you know what, this is going to happen because I know it happened yesterday and the day before and the day before, that predictability creates confidence. So, this resource that I created for Cassandra and the Global Cash Summit was all about how to create an idea about what the importance of a law is. And then I also have a really fun story about my daughter that you do not want to miss. So definitely go check that out. It's
Yes,
kind of
yes,
silly, it's funny,
it
but
is
it's also it teaches such a great principle. And I think it's super relatable.
fun.
That's why I shared it. I even had to share it with Gigi. I was like, "Is it okay? A lot of people are going to see this." And she's like, "Totally fine."
It was very
It was
relatable.
beautiful.
So, Brigham, thank you for bringing such insight, such authenticity to this conversation today. You're a reminder that confidence grows one story at a time. It's something that our entire audience can take to heart. And you've shown us that storytelling isn't just about communication, it's about transformation, it's about
Mhm.
how we see ourselves, how we connect with others, and how we can ultimately create that impact and that income through our truth. So, to everyone watching, please be sure to connect with Brigham and download his free gift. And also remember that your next level of confidence and success might just be one story away. Brigham, thank you so much and sharing the importance of stories and building confidence. It's been such a joy having you here at the Global Cash Summit. And for those who have your VIP, you guys get to have a wonderful training from Brigham coming up. So that's something that you can look forward to. If you have not upgraded to VIP, please do so so that you can have that amazing resource to have the training with him and to move your story even deeper and forward as well. So thank you so much for being with us today. Brigham, we've loved having you and we look forward to the training that you provided for us.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much, guys. Keep leveling up your life. It is just 1% a day better that you won't recognize your life in 18 months. So keep doing the very best you can to go that final percent. Thank you so much, Cassandra.
Thank you.